What's good, everybody? Welcome to another video. What I'm planning on doing today is going over relics with you guys, giving you some tips about what relics are good, what to look for with substats for certain types of characters, and really I want to talk about as well where a relic might not be good for you right now. It might be good for you in the future, and it just might be worth considering holding on to a relic, just locking it until, in a few patches time where a new character releases and perhaps they scale on this type of main stat that you've saved, which seems a bit obscure at the moment. It might come up in the future, and you might be really glad that you saved it for when that character that can use it comes out. So let's just quickly have a little look here. So here we've got my Jingyuan. Let's have a quick look at the stats over here. So for a DPS character like Jingyuan, one of the big things that we're looking at is their crit ratio, which is their crit rate and their crit damage, how they compare to one another. If it is there much point if you've got, let's say in a crazy world, you've got 200% crit damage, but you've got 10% crit rate. What's the point? You're sure 10% of the time you're doing a massive hit, but it isn't very consistent. And likewise, you could have 90% crit rate but only 50% crit damage. Then what's the point? Sure, you're critting a lot, but you're not actually doing a lot more damage than if you weren't anyway. So they're the kind of things that we're looking for. You're looking for, really, in an ideal world, a 1-in-2 ratio. So if this was perfect, I would have 63% crit rate, and then I'd have 126 crit damage. Obviously, this is as best as I can get it at the moment with what I've got, but I'm just giving you an idea of what you're looking for a DPS character, and that can change with other characters, but we're just sticking for a DPS one for now. I am also using the Battle Pass light cone, so I'm not getting any bonus crit rate or anything from here. Obviously, if I had his 5-star one, it would be really nice, but all my luck on this account has unfortunately been spent. And I've only bought the Battle Pass and the Express Pass. Let me just see what it's called, because I always forget. Express Supply Pass. That's the only things I've bought. I've not bought any of these or anything. So, looking at my traces. Looking at my relics. For a DPS character, we are really looking for crits with the substats. But before anything else, we need to make sure our main stats are correct. So for the main stats for the head and for the gloves, you can't do anything about them. They're always going to be HP and attack. Now, because they're always going to be HP and attack, these are two pieces that you can be a little bit picky on. Like, for me, this piece is a little bit trash. It's the only one that I have. And it does at least have a roll into crit damage. But in an ideal world, for a piece like this, I either want that crit damage to be through the roof, a bit like my gloves, or I want both crits on here. I want crit damage and I want crit rate. Because I'm not having to be so particular about what base stat is on the head and the gloves, it really means that you can try and get those perfect pieces that have both crits on the substats. And over time, I will attempt to try and get a pair of glasses, in this case, that do have crits as their substats. Obviously, for something like a chest, it's a little bit harder to do. For this, I needed it to be crit rate, and although I may have better pieces with better substats, I mean, I don't. I guess you could argue these are better substats, but it still would be useless to me. There'd be no point in me leveling it up. We are looking for the exact base stat that we want, and that is the most important thing for now. I'll come back, and eventually if I do farm this relic again, hopefully I'll get one with a crit damage substat, but even then that's the best it would possibly be, so it's not going to get a whole lot better than what we've got. For my feet, obviously you can see I'm still using 3 stars, just because again it's the base stat that what's important. Speed is so important for Jingyuan, and in the example here, although this one could be better because I can get higher speed, I did just want that little extra bit of crit damage for this one, which is why I've done it. I might re-roll this, or I might roll into this a little bit more just to see if I get crit, but these substats are all so useless to Jingyuan that I thought, at least with this one, I have got some good ones here. Going over here to spheres, again you're looking for the damage type of your character, giving the boost there. That's really, really important for your DPS characters. That's what you're looking for. For any other characters, you know, it's obviously more to do with what they scale on. The preservation main character, obviously I'm looking for something more like defense. For a character like Natasha, I'm looking for something more like HP. But for your main DPS characters or your sub DPS characters, you want the damage boost of their element. And in an ideal world, yeah, I would also have some crit stats on here too. But because I've not gotten that yet, first and foremost, we're getting that main stat. So, and then lastly, the rope attack for a main DPS character is the one we want. Obviously, if we can get crit damage and crit rate, like I've been very fortunate on this one, then that's a great time too. But first and foremost, we want a nice attack stat, and this is a little bit like the gloves and the helmet. With the rope, there's really not many choices. Other than attack, you can get energy regeneration rate, you can get defense, or you can get HP. I'm pretty sure they're the only... Oh, and break effect, actually. They're the only main stats that you can get. So, although it's not quite as easy as it would be with the head or the gloves, the rope, you can actually farm a little bit more picky, and really wait until you get one that has both crits, preferably in their substats. So that was for a main DPS character. I'm just going to very, very briefly talk about characters like... Well, basically this goes for any other character where they're scaling on a certain stat. I've spoke about it in previous videos before. If you've got a character that scales on HP, well then that's what we're going to be looking for. We're going to be looking for HP in the substats. To be honest, crit rate and crit damage is nice, but it's not as important as the stat that they're scaling on. They're not here to do lots of damage. They're here to support the character that is here to do lots of damage. So don't worry about getting crit rates on everything for your supports. Look at the damage, look at the stat that they scale on, focus on that, and that should be good enough for you. So for Natasha, I've got HP here, I've got HP again, both here. Here I've got HP as the main, HP as a substat. I mean, this is obviously nice to have the crit damage, but it's not important at all. HP here again as a main stat. Speed is a very good one for any support. In fact, thinking about it now, that would be an argument to perhaps try and find better pieces here for the head, for the gloves, particularly mainly for the chest, because although I have got HP here as a hard stat, the hard stats compared to the percentages they're just a lot worse. And because HP here is a main stat, there is no chance that I will get HP as a main stat and HP percent as a substat. So with that in mind, perhaps I could think here, well, I need a HP main stat with speed here as a substat. That would probably be one I would consider re-rolling for. And so when I look at this one, this is actually pretty decent. Having speed there as a substat is pretty strong. You could make an argument to have speed as a main stat on the boots for a healing character like Natasha, but I don't want her outspeeding my buffing characters like Tingyan and things like that, so that's why, for me anyway, I've just stuck her with HP, just to try and scale her up as big as we possibly can. HP again on the sphere. This isn't the perfect set for her. I think I would rather have a different one, but this is just the one that I've got on her right now. And looking at this, I mean, again, we've got HP here, so we're not going to get it on the substats, but speed would be nice. Even HP as a solid stat wouldn't be the worst thing. So looking at these substats, these are a little bit trash. And then here, don't even look at this. This is embarrassing. Maybe I could give her a better one here. Just going through. Let's just what have we got on her? Break effect. Yeah, let's just give her this one. Let's give her this one for now. I've not leveled it up at all because I'm not happy with the ones we've got on her. I am looking to. This is actually the one I want for her. So maybe have we got anything here that fits the bill for that? I can't remember. I think it's this one, isn't it? Wind, HP. Okay. Maybe we'll do that then. Let's do that. Let's switch it up right here, right now. We'll get that on, and we'll get this on. Cool. So yeah, so that's a HP scaling character. Obviously, everything that I've just said, if it's a defense scaling character, everything I just said applies, but for defense instead. I still think speed is a good stat. You might want to consider things like effect hit rate. For a character, for instance, like my March. If we go on my March, over here, she's not leveled up yet because I kind of stopped using her a little bit, but I wouldn't mind picking her up again. But as you can see, I've tried to make effect hit rate come up as much as I possibly can on all the pieces for her. Like if I had a toss up here between which one I'd give March, I've given March the one that has the higher effect hit rate, because she has got her ultimate does kind of use effect hit rate as a stat, so that's why I think it's an important thing to consider. If you've got characters like Welt or anyone that's like a debuffing character, effect hit rate can also be a very powerful substat to get. And now I just really quickly, before we finish, I want to talk about what kind of stats, well, what makes something worth keeping, basically. So if we look here, I don't use a single wind character. I've been, I'm not bothered building Dan. I've not bothered building Sampo. I've not got anybody who could use this set. But I look at this piece and I think, well, actually this ain't bad. I've got speed, I've got crit rate, it could roll into crit damage, copium. And if it did, that would be a damn good piece. And even though I'm not using it now, I've favorited it. I've locked it, should I say. It ain't going to go anywhere. Because for me, if I ever get a wind character that I wanted to use, I've got a pretty good mask, a pretty good helmet to go on it straight away. Do I have any good examples for you for this? Let's have a little look through. I haven't managed to pick up loads, but I think there are definitely some pretty good examples. So, let's have a look here. I think these are very good examples, actually, to use for what I'm saying. Because things like this, where it's an imaginary damage boost. Now, obviously, this isn't the best one. And a character like I've got Welt, but Welt would make no use of this piece at all. Crit rate isn't that big of a deal for him, and having extra crit rate on his ultimate isn't that important, and he doesn't do any follow-up damage. This piece is useless for Welt. But is it going to be useless down the line when an imaginary character comes out that is a little bit more DPS orientated and has follow-up attacks maybe built into their kit? When that comes around, a piece like this, even though it's not perfect, it's certainly a good start for that character. So for me, you know what? I'll do it live for you guys right now. Am I going to favourite it? I think this is worth keeping. If we go over here, this is where I've had a little bit more look in this regard. When I look at a piece like this, I mean, how could I possibly think to throw this away? Energy regeneration, that's a fairly rare stat to get. It's got both crit rates and crit damage. Everything on here is great. Now, would I necessarily need this on anybody? I suppose I could argue that March could use it a little bit. But even then, it hasn't got effect hit rate as a substat, sorry, so it's not perfect for her. But who knows? Somewhere down the line, a piece like this could be crucial to a character. I mean, even if I think about it now, a character a little bit more like Japard, where getting that ultimate back is super important. I don't have him yet, but you've got to think ahead a little bit before you just get rid of anything, especially if it's a 5-star piece. You can obviously be a little bit more, you know, just get rid of the 4s if you've got a lot built up and things like that. I'm not telling you to have to go through everything. But before you get rid of a 5-star relic, really think, could this come up? I mean, a piece like this is pretty perfect for Welt. Like, it's got break effect. As the main stat, it's built into the set effect as well. They line up perfect. Over here, again, I've got no one who can really use this. I can't even really think of anybody particularly off the top of my head that could. But perhaps a character like Silverwolf, who is going to have a little bit more of an effect hit orientated set, maybe she'll need energy regeneration rate. So hold on to it. There's no point in getting rid of it. This could be a perfect piece for a character later down the line. Obviously, I'm not telling you to be super picky about everything. When I look at this, it's crit rate orientated and it's got HP as a main stat. It's rare if something like this combination comes up, where you've got a very DPS orientated character scaling on HP. Obviously, what's he called? Is it Lucio or something like that? I butchered the name, but one of the next 5-stars that's coming out, maybe he could use something like this. But even then, I'm fairly sure he scales on attack. So I'm not telling you to save everything, but I am just saying, be careful. Maybe have a little look through before you just get rid of anything. Be sure that what you're getting rid of is not going to be useful in the future. Even a set like this isn't perfect or anything, and nobody really uses this set right now. But who knows, if you get some pretty good 5-star pieces for this set, it might be worth just holding on to a few, because when a character comes out that really wants this set, you're going to be ready and good to go, and you're not going to have to waste any more trailblaze power farming this set again and hoping that you get what you already had. So that's pretty much all I have to say on Relics, guys. If you do want me to go over anything else, please let me know. I'd be happy to do another video on this if I've missed some things that people don't quite understand. I do just want to mention one quick thing with regards to Relics, is that, just so in case people weren't aware, but it is fairly obvious, every 3 levels they will gain a new substat. Or if they've already gotten 4, they will get a increase on one of the 4 that they have. So I'll just use this one as an example. It's already got 4 substats. If we just enhance it 3 levels, it now gets another one in defense, you see? So, and that will happen every 3 levels. So I just want to point that out to people who are a little bit unsure about how relics work. It is a little bit of a confusing system, but it's certainly one that you can get the hang of relatively quickly. And I just think it is important to just bear in mind, you know, think a little bit ahead before you just salvage all your 5-star relics that you get. As a person who played Genshin, for instance, when I look back at the amount of like elemental mastery artifacts that I got in that game, it was a stat that was completely useless for a very, very long time. And then in the last year, with the new update that came out, it became an incredibly important stat for people to have on characters. And the amount of 5-star artifacts I probably got rid of that were elemental mastery, that could have been perfect for some of the characters that I ended up having to build, you know, it makes me feel a bit bad, because I probably got rid of some really, really good artifacts that were useless to me then, but a little bit in the future would have been super, super handy to have. So just think about what characters are coming up, what ones you particularly are looking forward to getting, and maybe just have them in mind before you get rid of any relics or salvage any relics that you're not needing. And one last thing I just want to mention before we go: don't be afraid to level up a relic. If it's good enough for you to go, just go for it. Because at the end of the day, this one that I've leveled up 3 times, I'll be able to put it in another relic, and it will almost get everything that I'd already put into it going into the next one. Sorry for rambling on a bit. I hope this has helped people. And like I say, if I've not covered something that you maybe aren't sure on and you want a little bit more detail about, let me know in the comments and I'll happily go over it in another video for you guys. I hope this makes sense. I hope you have a great day, and yeah, keep on keeping on. Peace out.